I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
It looks something like this.
Welcome to the CTO Studio. I'm your host, Etienne de Bruin. The CTO Studio is where we chat with CTOs building amazing products with incredible teams. Have you chatted with a CTO lately? Yashwant, welcome to the CTO Studio.
Thank you.
Are we good to go, Eric? You are the CIO?
I'm the
VP.
I'm the VP of IT for Jenny Craig and Curves.
And tell us about that.
So being a VP, I've been in the role for a little over a year now. I've been with the company for a little over 10 years. So I started working at Jenny Craig when they were just Jenny Craig in 2007. And over a period of time, I started off as a consultant. And over a period of time, I've grown up the chains and gathered knowledge in different systems areas and infrastructure, and finally landed the the VP job last February, in February 2017.
And do you, so that's sort of the top job on the tech side, right? So you report
correct.
into the CEO?
That is correct. So I'm the head of IT. So I'm responsible for pretty much everything that happens in the department.
And does that include, so just quickly, Jenny Craig / Curves, what's the name of the company? Jenny Craig Curves.
So we are two separate brands.
Okay.
And essentially two separate companies, but they're owned by the same private equity company.
Okay, but you're responsible for both companies.
I'm responsible for IT for both brands.
Now, IT is one thing. Is there technology? So there's obviously an online presence, web. Are there mobile apps involved?
That is, so we don't have Jenny Craig. Now, Curves doesn't have a mobile app. Jenny Craig had a mobile app, which we are currently revamping, or we are redoing, building a brand new mobile app. Jenny Craig and Curves both have websites, jennycraig.com and curves.com. jennycraig.com also has an e-commerce presence where we allow customers to order food online and have food shipped to them.
And would you say, so you're obviously responsible for that as well, right?
Yes, that is correct.
How are you, do you have some product managers who are helping you with the strategic direction of the products, or is that something that just you guys do one thing and you do it well and you just have to do that?
So we do have business owners who we do have product owners for some of them. So example, our web e-commerce platform, we do have a product owner and even for the mobile app, who come up with the requirements and such, and then drive the development of that app. We basically, IT at Jenny Craig is a service-based department. So any requirements that they have, we just fulfill it for them. So.
And so do you run that as an internal company, basically?
Pretty much.
So your own P&L.
That is correct.
Your own revenue targets.
So IT doesn't have at Jenny Craig, IT is mainly a cost center.
Yeah.
So we do have internal P&Ls. I have a budget to manage against. At the beginning of the year, we come up with a roadmap of projects that we have to handle this year for the next 3 years. And we propose a budget, and then we basically track to that once it's approved. As long as we also ensure that there's some return on investment for some of the things that we do. So it's all that's how we manage it. But to answer your question, yes, we do have our own P&L.
And so it is. You guys are in North County, right?
We are based in Carlsbad, right by the outlet malls over there. So Ocean view, perfect office. Love it.
Do you live close by there as well?
I live a little southeast of Carlsbad. I live in Carmel Mountain Ranch.
And so does it take you, do you carry a 24/7 hotline cell phone?
I do.
You do?
So we, a lot of us at the office are on call because we have business in Australia as well. So there's, and plus we have an e-commerce system that's pretty much online through 24/7.
So is Jenny Craig is the nutrition side,
That is
and
correct.
Curves is the fitness side?
That is correct. So Jenny Craig, the business model is that we are a health and wellness company that empowers our clients to lose weight by providing them with menu plans and food as such. So we have retail locations, 410 of them across US and Canada. We corporate and franchise, and we essentially provide food for our customers to help them lose weight.
And do you provide IT services to those 400 locations?
We do. So we ensure I'm responsible for the infrastructure that sits in each and every center. So as it relates to phones, internet connections, their point of sale systems and such. So I'm responsible for those as well.
I mean, is there any given day where everything's working? Specifically for these locations. I mean, it seems like the laws of averages and the number of days in a year, you can't possibly have everything working for everybody on one single day.
You're absolutely right. It's a tough job. Retail as such, with it's there's a lot that could go wrong. Every day there's you just try to do the best you can to minimize the fires. But you're right. I think it's inevitable. There's always something that could go wrong somewhere across the country.
So have you, for instance, standardized on point of sale software and hardware, standardized on your ERPs?
Yes. So our point of sale system, we have one point of sale system that we ensure everyone uses, our centers. We have 2 call centers in the office, in the home office in Carlsbad.
Okay.
So they use the same point of sale system. All the orders that are placed online, that gets synced with the main point of sale system also.
Okay.
So there's always, that is our source of truth, for so that's standardized across the whole company. Then on the ERP side of things, we do have, we use one enterprise resource planning system for the entire company across different departments.
Do these 400 retail locations all carry their own inventory?
They do.
And is that inventory maintained in your mothership?
Yes, that is correct. So it is maintained. So it's a very sophisticated system that we run, and especially when it comes to inventory, because there are different types of inventory fulfillment that we have to think about. One is we have to replenish our centers. If once they start running out of food, we have to ensure that their food gets delivered to them. At the same time, having our online business, we also have to ensure that we basically ship orders to our customers directly as well. So we have
drop shipments.
Exactly. So by experience, I can tell you it's extremely difficult to ship frozen food. It's by far the hardest thing to do because it's very time sensitive. The food has to reach the customer at a certain time. Otherwise, because it's frozen, you can't leave frozen shipments outside for too long. It's just difficult. So, but we do have systems that integrate with each other. For example, our ERP system talks with our point of sale system to keep inventory in sync across the centers.
And do you have a central warehouse?
We have multiple warehouses across the country. for shipments to different states. So we have one located here in Sacramento. We have one in Kansas City, and then we have one in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and we also have a warehouse in Canada. So we have to ensure these warehouses have plenty of stock.
And do you have a warehouse in Australia?
Yes, where Australia, there's a separate warehouse as well. That is correct.
So do you use, you obviously use third-party carriers then, or do you have to do special shipments, special carriers because it's frozen?
We use our main carrier. We use UPS
Okay.
as our main carrier. We have tie-ups with them, so we predominantly use UPS to ship all our food. And we use a carrier called Sigma, who's one of the leading food distributors in the country, to distribute food to our local centers from the warehouse.
And so do they then provide specialized containers and?
They provide transportation, which is refrigerated transportation, but we are responsible for containers and frozen, like dry ice and packaging and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that is something that warehouses are responsible for.
Okay, and so what responsibility do you have of the transportation of the food? I suppose that leaves your system.
Correct.
So it ships out of the ERP. When it's loaded with some tracking ID into
Correct.
the ERP, off it goes, and then there's a receivables at the center or at the.
That is correct.
And then it comes back into the system.
That is exactly right. So it leaves the warehouse. The shipment leaves the warehouse, and that's where the interaction with our system stops. Then the food gets delivered into the center, where some employee physically receives the package, scans the barcodes, counts, does an inventory count, making sure everything that was ordered is received, and then goes and marks the shipment as received within the point of sale system.
Now, do you have any systems in place to alert the employee that too much time has elapsed between the send and the receive?
So we have each of our centers have a set delivery schedule. If example depends on the orders, that depends on the number of clients that the center services. If certain centers have deliveries twice a week, some of them have once a week. So by any means, if the shipment date gets deviated by from their delivery schedules, they know that there's because they run out of food, so we have to ensure that there's no alert per se, but it's sort of understood that if they don't receive the food by that day, there's a problem.
So it's like cron jobs.
Pretty much, very. Excuse me, but exactly, it's.
Okay, so reorder points and triggers and stuff, that's all configured by pros in the ERP system. It's got nothing to do with you.
That is, so we help them set up the reorder points. We have very sophisticated algorithms that we've built within our ERP system, which looks at each center, all their previous orders, sales, how they did the previous year. Based on it takes like all these parameters into play and then suggests a quantity.
Okay, and did you guys build those algorithms?
We built that.
So you built it, you own it.
Yes.
Hey Yash, the algorithm.
It's a lot. Most of the ERP systems have some of these out of the box. We took that and we customized it to the way we wanted to. They included a lot more parameters so that it could. Be a little more catered to the way we do business.
Do you? So does Jenny Craig cook the food?
We don't. We are responsible for the recipes. So we come up with the recipes. We do the R&D. Once we prepare the dish, it goes to. We have co-manufacturers and vendors who actually manufacture the food for us.
Okay, so you R&D the dish,
Uh-huh.
and then you have manufacturers who will recreate the dish and freeze it.
Correct. And based on the exact specification that we provide them. So it has to have, because each food, each packaged item needs to have certain level of protein, certain level of carbs. So we can't exceed or deviate from and there's iterations, just like any other development cycle. There are iterations that goes and it goes to the vendor, they submit a sample, we keep testing until we feel we have a product that we can sell to our customers.
And how often does that R&D cycle go? Are you constantly cooking for new recipes, or do you have like a 2 or 3 times a quarter type a year type review? Or
we constantly are in the hunt for new recipes, and it also, recipes are very there are seasonal recipes. There are things that are specific to certain areas, for example. So, for example,
in
people
Australia, they want kangaroo. It's a very lean meat.
But we don't serve kangaroo, but for example, like in Texas, people prefer steaks, versus in California, it's a lot more
spinach.
It's different, like quinoa maybe.
Yeah.
So it is so we have to keep each and every market in mind, and they constantly try to keep evolving on their recipes. Some macaroni and cheese with green beans could become with change it. We add broccoli in one iteration.
So are you, when the food arrives at the center or the location, you basically are assuming that the food's fine, right?
Yes. So when it arrives at the location, we have the employees who
QA process that is beyond IT.
Correct.
Okay,
they
great.
check for damaged food, and if they find a damaged example, a food, a package got damaged,
then there's a process that takes care of it.
That is correct, and that gets entered into the system as well as damaged inventory.
Okay.
So it gets reduced. So the system tracks that I have 5 less cases of protein shake, so I need to ship them.
Okay. Do you love this stuff?
I've been with the company for so long. I love working for the company. I can firsthand tell that we truly change lives. I know there's a lot of stigma around packaged food these days, but some of our customers, I'm one of them, myself. We have tried a lot. There are people who have tried everything to lose weight. And sometimes it's impossible. You just feel whatever you tried, nothing's working. And we've shown that diabetic people can still continue lose weight postpartum, after pregnancy. And when it gets difficult.
So can we that's really great. And then I suppose just on the technology systems, on the Curve side, it's all about scheduling, right? Just, are people scheduling classes online? Is it consumer facing? I want to be in this class, or is it just I pay my membership and I show up to the class and it's managed by the site?
Curves is a little different than Jenny Craig, because Curves is entirely franchise. Nothing is corporate owned. So we are responsible. So we are not responsible for infrastructure in the centers. That is something that the franchisee is responsible for. But we do provide them with a point of sale system to collect memberships, and also for scheduling their workouts. It's a little more old fashioned that way. We don't have an online scheduler for customers. They have to call in and schedule on to their local location where they work out.
Whatever that system is implemented, whether it's a Google Calendar or some other.
It's a .NET based calendar.
So let's move a little bit towards the challenges of information technology in this day and age. What would you say are like the number one problems you have on a day-to-day basis? Is it phone connectivity? Is it application management on desktops? Is it inventory systems? What if I was to scan your internal customer support calls,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say generally are like? And it's not Jenny Craig; it's mostly IT related. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges?
I think I feel the biggest challenge by far, because it's a lot, like our employees in the field, it's the largest user community. So by virtue of numbers, they are is the point of sale system in our centers. Uh, it's very complicated to use. We've simplified it over a period of time, but there's still so much functionality in there. It raises a lot of questions. The majority of the tickets that we receive are in pertaining to our point of sale system. How to use them, how to refund certain things, how do I do this, how do I renew, how do I mark? A lot of how-to questions, and the employees in the field are, they're being, there's a lot of part-time people who come in and go all the time. So there's constant onboarding, and so a lot of questions around how to use the system essentially.
Do those point of sale systems need like a dedicated desktop under the desk, or does the system, is it actually a PC with like a dumb terminal, or
we have what we call thin clients in
yeah.
all the centers, and the application is based on AWS. The app stack is based on AWS, so it's just a web page that they open on the thin clients.
What system is that?
It's we use Oracle's Siebel CRM, which we also use in our as our point of sale for.
And is that you can basically fire up an AWS EC2 instance with Siebel as the.
So
or do they have some sort of solution?
So it is we have a Siebel CRM running on EC2 instances on AWS, but it is our own licenses that we purchased from Oracle separately. Okay. And then we have people who manage and administer the app on AWS.
And then are you responsible for providing connectivity, internet connectivity?
Yes, that is correct. To all the centers, internet connectivity as well as phones.
Sounds terrible.
And it's across US and Canada. And
are the phones all VoIP?
The phones in the centers are all VoIP. 99% are VoIP. There's 1% of centers who we just could not get to them, but eventually they'll all be VoIP. We recently transformed all the centers to VoIP last year in 2017. Prior to that, they were conventional phone lines across all the centers.
Now, were you tempted to, when it comes to cloud services, does a company like yours have sort of negotiation power directly with Amazon that makes the pricing competitive for you to move everything into the cloud? And then does one have the same sort of conversation with Azure or with Google? Or is it just that nothing can compare to the pricing of having bare metal data center? I mean, it would feel to me like cloud services are amazing for ramping up and scaling down dynamically. You aren't in that sort of business. So is it why, for instance, didn't you just go with dedicated managed services in a data center? Is that more expensive? Is that cheaper? So kind of what was your thinking around that?
So we used to run conventional data centers, and it was there are couple of things running, like people need to know about running data centers. It is not fun, and there's a lot that could go wrong. The management is extremely cumbersome. You need a lot of staff to support the number of servers and firewalls and switches that you need to run in a data center. So all in all, all that is adds up to a lot of cost. That was one of our biggest impetus to move to AWS. we needed to reduce our operating expenditure for that. So when we initially hashed out a roadmap, we put a business case together. Right off the bat, we saw a little over 50% in savings, cost savings
over data center.
over a data center.
Now, can one not? And I ask this just from an infrastructure point of view. Create your own cloud by like some hypervisor software that you just buy and depreciate hardware. I mean, granted, it's not the business you want to be in.
Yes.
But as you're making these strategic decisions, I'm just wondering, for companies that are sort of more brick and mortar companies, what's happened to innovation in sort of, if cloud has been hyper innovated, surely the data center model hasn't completely stagnated, and just create, just buy 50 blades or whatever and just do your own cloud.
You could potentially. Again, I think we did not want to be in the data center business. Now with everything, our entire, we closed down our last data center in on October last year. And by far, that has been the best thing that we've ever done. I can run a data center for a $400 million business with 2 people.
Amazing.
I have one person on staff who supports the entire AWS infrastructure. I don't have to worry about hard drives failing. I don't have to worry about firewalls.
No, I hear you.
patching.
I hear you.
It's just simplified our lives a lot, and it's also brought a lot of stability in our business, in our systems, just by virtue of the fact that silicon fails. It's hardware is hardware at the end of the day. You never know what's going to go wrong.
Does the AWS team provide you then with sort of the infrastructure architecture service, where they say, okay, great, we're going to set up your VPCs across these regions and we're going to do this kind of redundancy? Or is that very much still up to you and your team to do, and they just give you the tools to do that?
They just give us the tools to do that. It is entirely upon us to come up with a design that fits our needs, choose the right services that AWS has to offer, or any cloud service provider. When we started the journey, we sat down. We had no idea. We did not know how AWS worked compared to Azure. So we got help from experts. So we did reach out to professional services at AWS, where they gave us rough guidelines around how things had to be set up. And then when we started building it, we learned, as and when we moved along, we learned certain things and we designed appropriately. But the overarching architecture, we had planned how we had an idea how we needed to set things up.
Yeah, it's amazing to just have these services available.
I can't stress enough. I was part of the team when we built the original data center. It took us years to build that thing. It took us literally like a few months to set up a full data center on AWS. The full thing functioning, in fact, if not arguably even at a better, and we are providing arguably better service than we were able to provide before, at fraction of the cost. So all in all, it was a no-brainer for a company like our size.
It's great. It's great that your point of sale system, then really all you're telling your centers is provide us just bring your thin client, or bring your PC, bring whatever, bring your phone, and you just log into the website and you have a POS.
Pretty much. We for corporate centers and franchise centers, I'm responsible for ordering hardware as well. For example, for thin clients, I'm responsible for standardizing or standardized equipment across all. For franchisees, I'm responsible to a certain extent, but besides that, we give them options and they purchase it themselves. But we require them to purchase only certain brands and certain types of hardware.
So do you, so we kind of go, how are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
good? It's awesome. I love this.
This is perfect.
So I'm wondering around, let's get a little bit into management style and the way your C-suite views you. So you've obviously been there 10 years and you've now gone through the ranks and you've become the top dog of technology at this company. Um, when do you have weekly management sync ups, or I'm talking about you and your C-suite, not below. I know you probably manage hundreds of people and you have your cadence with them, but as far as the executive team goes.
So as far as the I have bi-weekly leadership team meetings where I meet with my peers, and it's my boss's meeting that I meet with. We discuss we provide updates. Essentially he has an agenda that he likes to follow. So we go over.
And that's the CEO, right?
That's the CEO. So my boss is the CEO. So we meet bi-weekly for that as a team. Besides that, I have a weekly meeting with one-on-one meeting with the CEO to discuss my personal goals and objectives and provide him with any updates that he wants to hear. If he has any feedback, he provides me with things. If he's not liking certain things that he's seeing, so he will provide me with feedback.
Yeah.
So I have that happens weekly. Besides that, I try to meet with my peers on a one-on-one basis at least once a month. Because we service each department,
so you're getting some feedback,
just to get feedback, how and just to know if you're doing things all right, if there are things that we need to work on, and it's been very helpful. I get direct feedback in certain cases saying this area is clearly or not, I'm not seeing any we need. So it gives me something to focus on every time I get out of the meeting. But yeah, so that's essentially the cadence that I follow with my peers and my boss.
And do you is everybody at the same location? Just roughly.
Apart from 3 or 4 C-suite folks, everyone's located physically in Carlsbad. My boss is located out of Colorado, but he travels. So he travels every couple of weeks or every week to San Diego. There are others who travel from other places, but majority of them are in Carlsbad.
So talk to me a little bit about where you think things are headed. Obviously you have your own confidential strategy and your own company stuff, but are you, how does a brick and mortar operation innovate? Are you also pushing for some R&D, or have you got software engineers as employees? Are you, there's obviously configuring ERP systems and data integration, and are you doing any EDI?
We do EDI.
Yeah, so you're doing parsing of EDI and you're going nuts with probably XML, and so you have sort of the operation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where is there time to innovate, and is there a budget for innovating for you, or really is it just a leaner and meaner technology backbone to the company's overall strategy?
So innovation when it comes to business, our strategy for this year was to ensure our customers get a brand new mobile app to enrich the customer experience, to enrich their interaction with us. So that is part of our plan, which is in the works. So that should be released fairly soon.
Is that two native apps, or is it a hybrid mobile app? Is it like a one code compiled for iOS and Android, or do you have Java developers and iOS developers, or is it Xamarin, or?
So we haven't haven't started.
Okay.
It's just at this point it's just in the design.
Okay.
We haven't finalized but there's going to be an iOS and an Android.
Yeah.
We have not finalized how
exactly how that's going to happen.
Exactly.
But obviously your customers are saying, hey, we want a mobile app to manage either our recipes or our nutrition and or our gym appointments.
Yes. And we are also, this year, we've also focused a lot on our website, we are trying to modernize our website, modernize the ordering experience online. So it attracts a lot more clients, and then they can place orders. It increases our business that way. That is from the customer perspective. Besides that, innovation from an internal IT perspective, our biggest leap was to close the data center and migrate to AWS. So that was step one. This year we are focusing on migrating our entire phone system that we have to the cloud. So we absolutely run no hardware. It'll be a cloud-based phone system that we move to. So that is, we are innovating in areas within, which basically runs our call center as well. Apart from the phones in the office, we also runs which is also revenue generating, one of the revenue generating businesses for us.
Incredible.
But all in all, a lot of cool things that we are working on. We constantly, our biggest innovation happens in the food area and marketing, where they constantly try to find new ways to reach to connect with our clients, or to ensure, we are providing the food that's in that people prefer these days versus. So there's a lot of innovation happening in those areas.
So tell me, just on the productivity side of your day, do you have any kind of secret productivity hack that is unique to Yashwant? And if you don't do it that day, the rest of your day is screwed? Or is there something that you do to stay focused? I mean, you're obviously, if you were to log into your ticketing system, you'd probably go nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you do to kind of stay productive and feel good about your day or your week?
I try to do a couple of things. One is from a focus perspective. I try. One of the biggest challenges I have is, because I'm responsible for such a wide variety of things. There's a lot of context switching that needs to happen, all the time, and it could be random, something related to technology, and then the next thing it's something related to, and it's very hard to focus at those times. So I've sort of, over a period of time, I've sort of learned to focus on one thing at a time, try to finish that one, and try not to immediately switch to something else, because what I've learned is I'm not able to get anything done in the way I would like for it to be done. So that is something that I consciously try to be aware of, is to try to finish a topic and then try to get on to the next one. And if something urgent comes in the way, then obviously you try to shift focus. But that's something that I try to do. Besides that, I try to prep. I do a lot of prep work, as in, before I get into work today, the night before, I look at my schedule. I ensure there's no conflicting meetings. I ensure there's nothing that I need to be ready for. I just try to mentally prepare myself for the following day. I spend maybe 15-20 minutes, try to make sure my schedule is in line.
The night before.
And the morning of, I wake up, I'm an early riser, so I wake up very early.
Well, how early is that?
I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, try to work out for an hour, try to start the day on a positive note so that I can get through the day without. So that, but if I don't follow that, sometimes I feel the day doesn't go as I had planned originally.
Oh.
So that is something that I would, early to bed, early to rise, prep work, and one thing at a time.
Yeah, I like the idea of planning what your day looks like the night before. I think personally I'm a little intimidated by wide open spaces, and so just knowing, okay, I know what this time slot to this time slot looks like, and blocking out that time for the prep work is awesome. Well, that was it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing everything. And it's fascinating, just the whole supply chain infrastructure management of a company like Jenny Craig.
It's thank you for having me. It was wonderful. It is a lot of hard work, but every day when I walk into the office, I want to do the work. So I like the job that I do and hope it continues.
Beautiful. Thank you, Yash.
Thank you.
Cheers. Have you chatted with a CTO lately? Hi, thank you for listening to the CTO Studio. If you don't mind, take a quick second and please rate and review the show. It helps us a lot. Go to the ctostudio.com for more information on what we're doing at 7 CTOs. We also have a video or two for you that could be a helpful resource for you as you're managing your company. So thank you for listening.